Hello, everyone. I'm Dijon,
I'm Amir.
and welcome to the Massacre, the podcast about the art of storytelling and how to use across different mediums. Make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see our channel grow, and then click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. As usual, we'll start with media you're consuming. Amir, you can start. Remember,
Okay, I've been consuming a lot of media.
hold up. Remember, mute yourself when you're not speaking. I'm muting myself right now.
Oh, my bad. Am I good though? Am I good to go? Okay. I've been consuming a lot of media recently. Let's probably start with like shows, movies. I've been watching the 2004 The Batman show. Still one of the greatest animated shows for superheroes I've ever seen. It's just so good. And like the more that I watch, the more that I'm like, there's no way that Matt Reeves didn't secretly take so much of this from his inspiration, because it's oh my god, it's just so prevalent. It's so good too. It is so good. I love that show. And I'm at the point where they started introducing the Justice League, and apparently they were gonna have a Justice League show from this universe, and they didn't, because just like all good animated shows, it didn't. I don't know. I don't know why it got canceled, because it was really good and the reviews were really good. But yeah, I love that show. It's so good. He is the most, what's the word for it? Like mentally healthy version of Bruce Wayne, including the comics. Like that is like, he took some mental health classes. Like he's okay. He's good. I have been watching.
I love Kevin Michael Richardson as the Joker.
That's the only version of Joker that I actually like. Like, I mean, like Mark Hamill's Joker is cool, but I get bored with the Joker altogether, and I don't like the Joker in the comics. But I love the Joker in this show, and the Joker in this show throws hands with Batman and Robin and Batgirl at the same time. Like, he's just fine. Like, this man, he could straight up be Batman if he wasn't like crazy. Like, he's more than okay. He throws paws with everybody.
Isn't there an episode where he does become Batman?
There is an episode where he does become Batman. Of course, he's like an evil version of Batman, but like he does become Batman in one episode. And oh my god, I love that version of Joker so much. I've been watching Legend of Vox Machina on Amazon Prime. That's really funny. I love it. I haven't seen, or I should say, listened to Critical Role. I listened to like 10 minutes of the first episode, and I actually did start a Dungeons and Dragons campaign with a couple of friends last night. So I do need to start listening to Critical Role, or at least I plan to. But I really like Vox Machina. I started watching Reacher, which is the Jack Reacher show that adapts the first Jack Reacher book on Amazon Prime. It's actually pretty good. It reminds me a lot of Punisher, or like Jack Reacher's character in that reminds me a lot of the Punisher. I have not read any of the Jack Reacher books, and I didn't see the Tom Cruise movies, but the show's pretty decent so far. I'm like halfway through. There's all like 8 episodes, and they're all really long. Kind of like Witcher, but like they felt longer, even though they're like the same length. What else? Start watching Euphoria, specifically because I was telling you, Dijon, I was watching I was rewriting Spider-Man, or pre-writing Spider-Man 4, just personally for fun. And somebody that I was watching, because I watched a lot of Spider-Man 4 pre-writes, and somebody that I was watching was suggesting the girl who plays Maddie on Euphoria to be a Black Cat, and I was like, interesting. However, counter offer. And so I started watching Euphoria because I was like, I do like the idea of casting Euphoria and like actors and actresses. See, now I was, here's the thing, right? I went with Sydney Sweeney, who plays Cassie, to play Black Cat.
Oh, that's what I thought you said. Because that's what.
Oh no! Maddie is the one with.
I know who Maddie. I've been watching. I thought you said Cassie.
No, I don't know. That was Maddie. No, Cassie though. Cassie's the one that I went with for my Black Cat choice.
Yeah, that's why I said that, because I thought you said Cassie.
And like you're right. Like physically, she looks like Black Cat, and in a lot of scenes, she acts very similarly to how I would expect a Black Cat to act. And I'm like, you know what? That's what I'm gonna go with. So I started watching Euphoria just so I could be like. Just to like confirm, but then I actually started to really like the show. And like, it's pretty good. It is very traumatizing, but it is a pretty good show. I've been reading a lot of comics. I've been reading more of the 2001 Batgirl series. I caught up on Robin so far, which has been really good. And there's a comic that I think you would really like, Dijon. It's very new. And I know that a lot of people don't like Batman's origins or like repeating Batman's origins, but this is touching on an area of his origin I don't really see touched on called Batman the Knight, which is touching on like between, I feel like it's touching on like his like last years of high school, and like Hugo Strange is, or well, at least this issue did. It's going to touch on like different parts of his origin throughout. But Hugo Strange is the villain of this first issue because he's Bruce Wayne's therapist, but he's also Bruce Wayne's girlfriend's therapist. Like Bruce Wayne's girlfriend at this time, he's her therapist, and he's been using like hypnotherapy to like drain her accounts and stuff like that to go into more like experimentation stuff. It's actually pretty good. That also touches on like Bruce Wayne being like a rich brat. No matter how much good he wants to do, he's still always going to have a disconnect from the people he's trying to save, and it touches on that really well.
Yeah, that kind of touches on. I read the first volume of Rebirth, Green Arrow, and that's like a big part of Green Arrow's journey as a character. That Black Canary always points out to him that you're trying to stop the man, but you are the man. Like you're out here trying to do good, but you're also in the same position that all those people doing bad are. And that's why he oftentimes, in most iterations, ends up giving away all his money.
Yeah, no, and they touch on that like a lot in this Batman issue. It's a main theme, like a primary theme throughout this entire issue. And I feel like it's going to be a primary theme throughout the series. Also, Henry Ducard is supposed to play a big role in this, and I really like Henry Ducard because he is one of my favorite people that train Batman and one of the people that continues to show up throughout Batman stuff. And like every time they touch on his origin, it always has something to do with Henry Ducard for some reason. But I don't mind it because I like Henry Ducard. As far as video games go, I started playing Smite, which I have mixed feelings about. I won't talk about why I started playing Smite, but I have mixed feelings about the game. I'm not sure that I like it, but I am kind of addicted to it. It is actually very fun. Very irritating, but very fun. I have been playing a lot of Destiny 2 because I'm preparing for the new season, which drops on the 22nd, and I'm super excited about that. I'm trying to masterwork on my armor. I only have 2 armor pieces left. I'm very close to it. And there was something else that of course I forget. Of course I've been watching Book of Boba Fett. Of course I've been watching Peacemaker. There was something else that I can't remember. That's disappointing. Yeah, no, I think that's it though.
Well, for me, I watched last night, I think it was last night, I rewatched Parasite, the Korean movie. It's still good. The first time I watched it with a group of friends, and I think every time I rewatch that movie, I have to watch it with someone who hasn't seen it before because it was great. I was watching it with I'll talk about it before. I've watched this this reaction YouTube channel called Blind Wave, and they I subscribed to their Patreon, and they have a tier where like they record themselves watching the entirety of the movie, and you can watch it along with them. Obviously, you have to press and play right, so it's timed correctly. And yeah, I watched that while watching their reaction at the same time, and it's always fun to see people's reaction to that movie. The movie's great. Have you seen Parasite?
I have seen Parasite, yes.
Okay, yeah, Parasite's great. I rewatched Black Widow, and I swear they re-edited the fight scenes because the camera is way less shaky, and there are less cuts in the fight scenes. There was still a lot of cuts in that last fight scenes with the widows, but the camera was way less shaky, and I was like, I feel like they re-edited this after they heard all that feedback because it looks so different. Rewatched Spider-Verse again, still great. That was like, I don't even know, my 5th time watching. I've seen that movie so many times. Finally, I'm watching Rebels again. I told you I'm on like I had recently watched coincidentally the episodes where the Darksaber comes back, and that was pretty cool and coincidental with the last episode of, I was about to say The Mandalorian, I meant Book of Boba Fett, but it was basically The Mandalorian. The last 2 episodes have been The Mandalorian, but we'll talk about that later because obviously I've been watching Book of Boba Fett. I've also been watching Euphoria, as I talked about last time. That show's great. It is so good. I've also been watching Legend of Vox Machina. It's pretty good. It's really funny. I liked the first 2 episodes, but it was the 3rd episode that really got me because stuff started getting real, and I was like, oh, I like this. This story is interesting. Because the dude with the gun, I felt like was kind of, I felt like he was kind of boring compared to everybody else. But then he started getting very interesting really fast. I've been playing Uncharted 4. It got a PS5 upgrade, Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy. And they had a thing where I have Lost Legacy on disc, and I upgraded that for $10, and it gave me both Uncharted 4 PS5 version and Lost Legacy PS5 version. And last night I finished Uncharted 4. But before I say anything else, have you still not played it?
Played what, Uncharted 4?
Yeah.
I started playing it. I'm not far. I'm like they just escaped from the party where they like, yeah, I'm still not that far.
Because I have an idea for like future Uncharted games that involve stuff that happened in this game, like halfway through the game, not anything that happens near the end, but like something that happens halfway through the game on my replay had me go, oh, wait a minute, they can make a game about this. And it would be a prequel. But yeah, I can't. I have to wait till you finish to tell you about it. I was playing Halo. And as I play Halo, I can't help but keep thinking about a Mandalorian video game because everything about it makes me want a Mandalorian video game. Using the grapple hook to get everywhere, flying ships around, and it being open world, killing aliens and stuff. I just felt like I really want a Mandalorian game similar to this, but with maybe bigger map, different planets and faster ships, because the ship, well, it depends on the ship. Like the Spartan ship is really slow, but the Covenant ships are really fast, much faster. But yeah, that's media I've been consuming. Oh wait, no, Hades. I've also been playing Hades. That game is so fun. I took a break after my first escape, but ever since I got back into it, I'm back into it. All right, so on to comics, because today I don't have anything about animation. I will next time because Cuphead show will probably be out. But comics. I've been reading The Flash still. I didn't read 775 before I read. I think the first one I read was 777. So I went back and read the ones before that. 775 was good. And it was basically, I actually talked about it last episode, so you can go back and watch that if you want to hear that. In the following issue, a staff landed in the middle of Central City, causing everyone to like get angry, like essentially affect their emotions. And Mr. Terrific, who Wally works for, that whole industry, attacks Wally, and several of his rogues are drawn to the staff, and they're kind of like trying to pull it out of the ground. But lastly, after he takes down all the rogues, and it's really good and really dope fight scene. So it's like some energy vampire, I don't know who this character is, but that's basically what he is, pulls the staff from the ground. And it turns out that the staff was like, had a Calypso trapped inside of it. And, I talked about issue 776 before, where Dr. Fate and Wally go through a dimension to catch up to Eclipso, and they run into Justice League Dark. Aquaman, The Coming. So it turns out Jackson Hyde's sister, actually, well, obviously spoiler alert, because I still want you to read this, but I'm about to say spoilers. Are you okay with that?
Honestly, I doubt I will, but you did just remind me about the fact that I read all of John Kent's Superman so far. I forgot to add that. And I really like John Kent Superman, but you reminded me of that because Aqualad is in like one of the issues. I think he's in like the latest issue of the Superman run.
Yeah. So it turns out Jackson Hyde's sister, Delilah's adopted mother, was lying about Jackson's mom, who she claimed was like a terrorist who caused essentially their movement to try and against the government to keep them from enlisting kids into army, kind of messed it up by doing terrorist acts. But she was actually his sister's adopted mother was actually the person to do it and was trying to blame his mother. And she's also about to try and assassinate Mera. So Aqualad's going to go stop her. Wonder Girl, the final issue of Yawer Floor's Wonder Girl. I read it. She discovers that Eros killed her mother, and the Brazilian Amazons, along with the other two Wonder Girls, break through the gates of Olympus and help Yawer escape. That's about it. I read Mary Jane and Black Cat Beyond because a lot of people were posting about it on Twitter, and I was like, okay, let me check this out. It was really good. The Hood holds sleeping Peter hostage and forces Black Cat and MJ to steal his magical hood back. And it's just a fun little story with Black Cat and Mary Jane going and talking to different criminals. They like stole a bag from a tombstone by having Mary Jane, who is an actress in the comics. She like dresses up as Black Cat, sneaks through the window, and he thinks that that's Black Cat, and then she jumps out the window, and then the real Black Cat comes in and steals it. It's a good issue. Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. I did not like this story when I first read it. I watched a video about the first issue. I liked it, so I decided to read the second issue. And I didn't like it because I just didn't like the character that was narrating, who was a character that's who's going with Supergirl on her journey. Essentially, Supergirl, it's her 21st birthday, and she wants to get drunk, but she can't because she's Supergirl. So she goes to a planet with a red sun, and she brings Crypto with her, and she goes there, gets drunk, and then she's about to leave. But there's this girl whose father was like murdered by this guy, and she's trying to get Supergirl to help her hunt him down. And Supergirl's like, no, I don't kill people, so whatever. But she continues to follow Supergirl all the way back to her spaceship, where the dude who killed her father found out that she was coming after him. So he went after her, and she ends up shooting Supergirl and Crypto with like poison arrows. Supergirl survives it because it's harmless to humans, but Crypto is dying. So she has to go and find that person and get the sample of the poison so he can use it to cure Crypto. That's the story so far. It's really good. It's much deeper than that. It's there are a bunch of stories in between that are really dope. But if anybody's interested in Supergirl or reading Supergirl, read this. The art is great. I cannot pronounce a person who draws it name for the life of me, but it's written by Tom King. Let me see if I can try to pronounce it. I'll just say her last name or their last name. Everly is their last name. Their first name is really hard to pronounce. So on the TV and film, the Riddler theme. Did you hear it?
I did hear it, and that's kind of what I wanted Batman's theme to be like.
Yeah, when I was listening to it, I was like, I bet Amir is gonna be like, man, I wish this was Batman's theme. Well,
not I mean, like it's cool. It's a horror ass.
Yeah, because I was listening to it, I was like, I feel a little bit of Batman in this, but it's not quite exactly something I would say you could just take this and place it on Batman. There's elements about it that I feel like don't necessarily fit Batman, but there are parts of it that do feel like Batman because it feels very much like music from the animated series. So it has big Danny Elfman and Shirley Walker, who composed for the animated series, and Danny Elfman, who did compose for the 89 movie and the movie before that. So like, yeah, it definitely has those feels of the anime series and those movies that Danny Elfman scored. And I liked it a lot. It was great. I can't wait to hear how it's used in the film. But I feel you. Again, themes can evolve. Like in the next movie, it could change. Or there's probably more to Batman's theme that we just haven't heard yet. You know what I mean?
There could be. I also feel like there's certain times where like character themes will be in other songs in like soundtracks and stuff meant for other scenes or other things, where those particular songs I feel like are like better fit the character as a theme than as a specific song, and it has like aspects of that character's theme in it. Yeah, I just need to see the entire like movie and hear the entire sound. Like I need the whole soundtrack to just release.
Yeah, I definitely have situations like that where I don't like the main character's theme, but there's another version of the character's theme that's used for a different scene that I'm like, that feels better. That feels like that should be the main character's theme. I know what you mean. And you're right, there might be something like that happens in a film. Like, because the Riddler's theme alone, like the Batman's theme made me go, okay, I'm going to enjoy the soundtrack. But the Riddler's theme made me go, okay, I'm going to love this soundtrack, because I was a little iffy on, I'm mixed on Giacchino as a composer, because I love The Incredibles. Amazing, obviously. That The Incredibles music is amazing. One of my favorite movie soundtracks. But I think like I didn't really like the MCU Spider-Man theme until Far From Home, because there's a version of it that plays, spoiler alert, at the very end after he's walking away from MJ and Ned. That version that plays when he's looking back at them before he swings off is so good. And it made me like that theme a lot more. And then there's a version that plays when him and the other Spider-Man land on the Statue of Liberty. That's really good. And like the way the music is in that movie makes me like Spider-Man's theme a lot more. And his Doctor Strange theme, I think, is really good. And actually, coincidentally, I think, big coincidence, actually. So Danny Elfman obviously scored the first three Spider-Man films as well. and he also scored Batman. And then Hans Zimmer scored The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and he also scored the Nolan Batman trilogy. And then Giacchino scored the MCU Spider-Man trilogy, and now he's scoring Batman. So that's a coincidence. If I'm not mistaken, Danny Elfman is scoring Doctor Strange 2, so Multiverse of Madness. So that's just a lot of coincidences in their trajectory as composers. It's kind of like how Sephiroth in Final Fantasy, he's voiced by George Newbern, who voices Superman in the animated series. And what else? I'm trying to think. He voices him in the animated series in the first season of Justice League, the animated series. But Tyler Hoechlin, who's currently playing Superman in Superman and Lois and in CW shows, he voices Sephiroth in the remake. So yeah, that it just reminded me of that. But yeah, I feel you. I like it. I think it's good, especially that, dude, I was listening to it like 1 o'clock in the morning, like I listened to the Batman theme, and that drop at like 2 minutes and 6 seconds scared the hell out of me. I literally jumped and opened my eyes wide because my eyes were closed. I was laying in bed, and I was like, "Oh my god, that scared the hell out of me." It threw me off, bro. I almost had a heart attack listening to that. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. You have anything else to say about the theme?
I don't have anything else to say about the theme, but are we talking about the movie at all today?
I mean, you can if you want. But before you go, I'm assuming that they might, at the very least, they'll share in a couple weeks Catwoman's theme. But I have a feeling they might also share a Penguin theme before the movie releases. So it might be 2 more themes. 100% they're going to do Catwoman, but they might also do Penguin's theme before the movie comes out too. But go ahead. I'm excited what Catwoman's theme might sound like.
Okay, real quick, before I start talking about the movie at all, I just gotta say, again, another thing that I love about the 2004 Batman show is the Penguin's voice, which we've talked about before numerous times. I love the Penguin's voice in that, and I kind of love the fact that he has a very similar accent in the Batman from what I've heard from his voice, and I love that. Like, the only... I prefer Arkham Penguin a little bit more, where he has like the Cockney British accent, but like I love the Wario. I kind of love it a little bit too much. And it seems like that's what they're going with in this Batman movie. But I've been looking a lot online at some things that have caught my attention, where Matt Reeves has said that obviously, of course, this movie does not connect to the larger DCU. Everybody who's looked into the movie at all knows that, but there might be the existence of other superheroes in this universe, which kinda is really cool, because at first, spoilers for anyone that didn't see anything about this, but at some point during production, some set photos got leaked of a Halloween party, and people were dressed up as Wonder Woman and Superman. I think there was somebody dressed up as the Flash, and people are like, well, that's cool, but does that mean that they exist as comic book characters in this universe? Are they movie characters in this universe, or do they actually exist? And then I found out that there are newspaper clippings on set and stuff like that talking about Superman or referencing Superman and other people like that. And the book, there was a book that released, it was like a novel, I don't know if you saw it, that was like pre the Batman or like before the Batman movie came out. It was like a prequel book to it. And in that, somebody mentions that they wanted to go, or that they should have moved to Metropolis and work for Lex Luthor. And I think that that is the coolest thing ever, especially if there is a larger DC universe out here, but they never show up beyond like subtle references. I think that's like the coolest thing ever, and I kind of hope that's what they wind up going with.
Yeah, I feel like much like Spider-Man, you know, Batman on his own has a universe that he could build out, and I want them to definitely not be afraid like other like filmmakers have been to introduce other members of the Bat family. Give me Batwoman, give me Batgirl, give me all the Robins, you know, give me all those people. I want them all.
We texted about this. I was like, I don't care how many movies this man has to make, but I want to get to at least Tim Drake and Cassandra Cain. I don't care how many movies, how many shows this has, like how long this has to go on. I don't care, but I want them.
Yeah, no, I need them to go ahead and bring in the whole Bat family. I need them to go all the way out to Damian, you know, bring in Signal, Batwing, like everyone.
I would love to see Duke Thomas on screen in live action. Like that would be so cool. And I feel like this is the first this is the first Batman where I feel like that's actually possible. Like that could be possible. Christopher was not Ben Affleck. Why was I saying Christopher anything? Ben Affleck was a little too old at the start to actually get that far, and also the DCU had a really weird thing with Robins. Like apparently Dick Grayson died or whatever, but like they had like one like weird things going on with Robins, and two, he was a little too old. Obviously, Michael Keaton is way too old at this point, and most of the Bat family characters weren't a thing when he was like in his prime as Batman. And like that's just been the case with a lot of other Batmen. Christian Bale, like I like they weren't really looking for a Robin. They didn't want to do a Robin in that universe, and so like I mean they kind of
they kind of did Robin with
in The Dark Knight Rises, but
I can't remember his name, but yeah, they did a little bit of Robin with him. Like he was gonna become either like Nightwing or like the next Batman or something like that. Which honestly I would be interested to see how that story moves forward, like a comic book series or something that continues that story.
That'd be cool to see, actually. I've been thinking about like what would happen with that universe, and like he has like really no training beyond like police training, but I would like, does he go get training? Does he do what Batman did? Like I would see a continuation.
Does Batman like send him money to help him fund his thing?
That'd be hilarious. Like he just gets random checks in the mail, like Social Security. He just gets like random Social Security checks.
Yeah, like every month he gets
a bat symbol stamped on the mail.
Yeah, that's interesting. Guardians of the Galaxy 3. James Gunn has said that this will be the last time we see this team in the MCU. So the team's going to be changing, and obviously Adam Warlock's going to join the team. But who do you think? Like, what do you think is going to happen? You think people are going to die? Most likely, probably. Some people are going to die, and if so, who? A lot of people are saying that Rocket and Drax are going to die.
People have been saying Rocket's going to die since Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
They have.
And I really hope it's the same situation as with Captain America, where people have been saying Captain America was going to die since Age of Ultron. And actually, people have been saying Captain America was going to die since like the second Captain America movie. I'm like, y'all are like kind of bugging. But they've been like kept saying Captain America is like my favorite MCU character, or one of my favorite MCU characters. And everyone was like, oh, he's going to die, he's going to die, he's going to die. And every time I went into one of the Marvel movies with Captain America, and I was sitting there silently praying, like, please don't die, please don't die, please don't die. And he never died. He's still technically not dead. Like he might have died of old age at this point, but like they are kind of making a point of not letting you know what his fate is right now. So we don't really know. As of right now, he's not really dead. So I really hope they do the same thing with Rocket, where they don't kill him, because I don't want Rocket to die. And it's not even like I particularly love Rocket, which I mean I do, but like, why would you kill the little raccoon, man? Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay, but people like calling for him to die, and I don't want her to die. So.
I'm excited to finally see Groot become a grown man again, because he's been a child and a teenager for a long time, and we haven't seen grown Groot since the first movie. Like I need to see my man grown Groot with his full-on Vin Diesel voice. But yeah, I'd like Adam Warlock is obviously going to join, and if the team's going to change, either, you know, like who do you want to see join the team? Like if I were to have someone else be introduced in this movie, obviously it would be the actual Nova with the Nova Force. Like how would they bring in the Nova Force? I'm thinking, because Nova got like massacred in Infinity War. Like the Nova Force got destroyed. So I wonder if they're gonna bring the Nova Force back with the actual Nova Force. Like I wonder like how they're gonna do that. Like if they ever decide to bring Nova into the MCU, which I hope they do. Like they're shaping up to maybe do the Champion, so maybe they will.
All right, so one, I absolutely want to see Nova. Richard Rider Nova, give me that. Obviously, give me Sam Alexander Nova down the line. I like Sam Alexander. Sam Alexander is cool. And I want to see a Champions movie. I really don't want Kamala Khan to join the Young Avengers. I want her to be a champion. I want her to I want there to be like a champion. Not even a movie. It could be a show. I wouldn't mind a show. I just want champions in the MCU. But Richard Rider, I really need them to do Quasar, and I really do feel like they're never going to do Quasar because nobody knows who Quasar is.
They can't have too many like powerhouses. They can't have Nova, Quasar, and Adam Warlock.
Well, here's the thing, right? Here's now. See if you pick up what I'm putting down, right? See if you pick this up, right? So at the end of this movie, right? The end of this movie could reshape the cosmic side of the MCU altogether. There could be way more room for more powerhouses.
I was talking about this last time. How I was talking about how you were just talking about the street level villains earlier. How I'm a heroes. How I was talking about how I like the power scaling of the MCU. And I talked about, and I compared it to Superman, how people say that Superman doesn't work as the OP. And it's like, no, you just scale up the problems that he deal with. And I have a feeling they're going to do that with Captain Marvel and Spectrum, or whatever she goes about, Spectrum, Photon, whatever she decides, maybe even Captain Marvel. But like, I like the scaling. Like you have Icarus, Thor, Captain Marvel, eventually Adam Warlock, eventually Silver Surfer, who are like cosmic level. They can fight people who could like destroy cities, potentially continents. Like those are the type of people that those characters are fighting because they're just so much stronger than most characters on Earth. And like I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm picking it up, but I still feel like you can't have too many powerhouses on the Guardians. 2 at max.
Now, see, but consider, right? They're just on the Guardians in this movie, but at the end of this movie, when the Guardians winds up getting reshaped, a lot of these people go off to either start the Annihilators or they go off to like make like just on their own like solo. So at the end, I would want to see on the team, like to continue on this team, I would want to see Nova, Quasar. I wouldn't want to see Adam Warlock on the team, at least not yet.
Here's the thing though. He's going to be on the team. So we just need to sit here and we know he's going to be on the team. He's not going to be in this movie and not join the team.
Here's the thing, right? Here's what I'm thinking. I don't think he'll be on the team in Guardians 4. I think he might temporarily join the team in Guardians 3. I don't think he'd be on the team in Guardians 4, but I think after Guardians 4, if he were to show up if the Guardians were to show up in other stuff, like how like people are starting to show up in other stuff all the time now. If he were to start showing up in other stuff, or in Guardians 5, they did go through Guardians 5. It kind of just be funny if they just didn't do Guardians anymore after Guardians 3. But if he does show up in Guardians, or if Guardians do show up in Guardians 5, he would be on that team. Then I want to see. I don't know how they would do it because I don't necessarily know that he
way too far into the future.
I am way too far in the future, but I'm never in the present, so like I gotta be somewhere. I don't necessarily know that there's enough for them to make a solo movie or show. They could do a solo movie, honestly. But I would want to see Adam Warlock do like a Soul Quest type movie or show where we get all the Adam Warlock content that we've been missing out on this entire time.
Yeah, like I feel like eventually they're going to build up to like an annihilation arc where you have characters like the Eternals, if they're still in space at this point, which they probably will be, like characters like the Eternals and Captain Marvel and Thor and like the Guardians dealing with the annihilation and the annihilation wave. And this is where you have Quasar, Nova, Adam Warlock, and all these other powerful like cosmic scale characters come together to fight this big like universe threat. But yeah, I wonder if they were going to do the annihilation arc, would they title the movie Guardians of the Galaxy Annihilation or Avengers Annihilation? Because technically, I mean, a lot of those people involved would probably be members of the Avengers at that point. But would they call it, like, would they have it be a subtitle of Avengers or Guardians? I would say Guardians, because the Guardians are much more in the mix.
I mean, the annihilation. Oh, go ahead.
I'm just saying, like, in the comics, like the Avengers have literally nothing to do with it because they're in the middle of the Civil War. So I feel like I'm leaning towards Guardians, but also, you know, calling it Avengers makes sense when it's a team up of a bunch of heroes in the MCU.
I was gonna say something similar. I was like, the Avengers had like very little, almost nothing to do with it in the comics. So I feel like it would be Guardians of the Galaxy Annihilation Wave,
or they pull a Captain America Civil War and call it Nova Annihilation.
That'd actually be kind of cool, especially because Nova was
Like that's the third Nova movie. It's just
he
that
was the one most affected by Annihilation. So like it makes sense.
yeah. But the second Mortal Kombat movie is in development. From the Moon Knight hit writer. Now obviously Moon Knight isn't out yet, but how Moon Knight is gonna set the tone for I care about this second Mortal Kombat movie. That's not true, because I care about it, because I want it to be good. But this is gonna set the tone for FIA. I'm excited for it or not. Because I'm interested, of course, because I love Mortal Kombat, and I have hope that they could do better. But if Moon Knight's great, then I'm gonna be like, okay, I'm kind of excited now, because the head writer is working on the second Mortal Kombat movie. So yeah, we'll see. I think Cole Young has that was his name, right?
The fact that you don't even remember his name is kind of
because I didn't want to. I don't know. I know his first name is Cole. I just not sure if his last name was Young. But Cole. He said what?
It's Cole Young. Yeah, okay. you got it right.
I wasn't sure if his last name was Young, but I feel like he could be an interesting character, and I have no doubt they can eventually bring him into the video game. He was weird in the movie. Everything about that movie was weird. I just hope the second one is much better. Honestly,
the whole movie was just weird. Like
they could
like a dream.
They could keep all the same actors and kind of retcon a lot of the stuff from the first movie for all I care. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre released a trailer that you probably haven't seen.
The game or the movie?
The movie.
I haven't seen
it's a direct sequel to the original 1974 film, which I'm gonna watch. Probably maybe not today, but at some point, because I really like that first movie. It's only 1:32, which I didn't realize. That movie's kind of short compared to a lot of movies I watch. So I'm excited to watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre again. That movie's so good. And there's a sequel coming out, which has, if you watch the trailer, it has Halloween 2018 vibes, which was like a direct sequel to the first Halloween movie, but like 40 years later. And it's the same way with this Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. It's like 40 years or 50 at this point, probably, after the first film. And Leatherface is coming back and killing people again and eating people again. So yeah, I'm excited for it because I like Texas Chainsaw. Halo. There was a trailer for the Paramount Halo series. I'm pretty sure you saw it.
Of course I saw it. I said that to like, oh my God. There's so much I have to say about that trailer.
There's a lot to say. It premieres March 24th on Paramount Plus. So yeah, they're gonna give me a reason to get Paramount Plus. I'm considering whether I should wait for the whole season, or maybe they'll post the whole season. I don't know how they do their stuff, but and then pay for it, because I don't want to have to pay for several months worth of Paramount Plus, something that I'm barely going to use just to watch Halo. But I also don't want to get spoiled. So it's a tough call. I might just have to spend that money. Let's get into it. So I don't know. My notes immediately start with Cortana, but I kind of don't want to start with Cortana. But we're going to start with Cortana. So they bring back Cortana's voice actress, but not Master Chief's. And I have a feeling he's definitely going to show his face, but I still think he's going to be in his helmet for most of the time, like kind of like Mandalorian. He shows his face occasionally, but most of the time he's going to have his helmet on. And if that is the case, why didn't they bring back Downs, who voices Master Chief? Like the dudes that they have is good. He's not bad. I think he's going to do a good job, and he sounds good. But I kind of wish they stuck with Downs, and I don't understand why they bring back Cortana's voice but not Downs. It just doesn't make sense to me. But more on the Cortana, a lot of people don't like the way she looks. So her face is meant, she doesn't look like how she does in the game, obviously. She's meant to look like the actual actress who's voices Cortana in the games, and she also voices her in this show. My only problem with the way she looks is that she's not blue enough. And I know that's a weird thing people say. A lot of people are like, why are you nitpicking? But it's like, she's blue. I want her to be completely blue and a little translucent. That's my only problem. I don't have a problem with the way that she looks, because when you adapt something live action, it's obviously going to look a little different, especially when you literally change the face model to a different person. So that doesn't bother me. And I kind of get bugged to hear people making fun of the way she looks, because I'm like, bro, that's just what this woman looks like. Stop making fun of her. That's just what she looks like. I get she doesn't look like what you remember, but that's because they're giving the actual actress who plays Katana a chance to actually physically be Katana. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I also do not like the fact that she's not blue. It just seems a little weird to me. It seems like a very weird design choice that I don't really understand why they went with it. It
Yeah, I
makes
feel like with all this backlash, this isn't as big of a fix. I feel like Sonic is. So maybe they could go back in and make her more blue before they release it. Or maybe she will be more blue and this just isn't either the CGI isn't finished or it wasn't like the best scene to represent what she'll be looking like for the entirety of the show.
maybe Cortana evolves. I don't know. Maybe she's a Pokemon. I really don't know. But the action looks great. I'm excited about the action. I did hear that this is non-canon and this isn't adapting the games and it's not canon to the game.
Yeah, they call it the Silver Timeline.
Yeah, I don't really know what that means. I haven't played Halo Infinite, but to my knowledge, there's not exactly like multiple timelines in Halo, so I don't really.
That's just them saying like this is separate from the original, which I think is a good way to go about it. Like that way you can retell the story for people who I haven't played the first 3 Halo games in a long time, so I don't remember much of it. And there are obviously people who haven't played the games at all but are interested in the show. So I do prefer that they tell the story and like from the beginning.
Oh yeah, no, I'm totally fine with them doing it. It's just a little weird to me that they were like, "This is a different timeline." And I'm like, "Well, what? Wait a second, did I miss something?" No,
Yeah,
but
that was a very specific way to put it that I felt like was unnecessary. But maybe there will be time travel and we just don't know, or like multi-dimensional stuff.
what is it that The Rock says about DC? The face of the Halo universe is about to change. It's just like this is gonna be a weird change
of the DC of the Halo universe.
I'm very excited for it. It's funny to me because I follow the guy who plays Master Chief, like the guy in the suit. I don't know if he's also the guy doing the voice, but the guy in the suit. I follow him on Instagram. He's been getting ripped for this role, and I think it's just hilarious. He's been getting ripped for a role when I don't think he's gonna have very many scenes outside the suit. I'm like,
that's the thing, though. I think that he'll have more scenes outside the suit than we think he does, and that's why they don't have Downs voicing him. Like they showed a scene where they had like showed his back and like the scars for where they like did the augmentation. Like I think we might see more scenes like that than we think we are.
that is totally fair. I didn't really think about it as much outside of like in the books, in the games, in the comics. He's like rarely seen outside of that suit. So I don't know. It was just a little weird for me because I'm like, I don't like. Hey, if you wanna get ripped, get ripped. I'm not complaining. It's just kind of funny how this man's going through like full like regimen, superhero diet and exercise. Like he's gonna be poor.
Those elites look good. Those elites look real good. Was it something that threw me off? Is that I never thought about this, but someone pointed out that grunts are like 5'4", and they look small because they're standing next to over a 7 foot tall Spartan Master Chief, but they're really like the average height for a woman, which is 5'4", and that's kind of scary because I always thought grunts were so small, and now I'm like, oh no, they're like regular people size. That's horrifying. Imagine seeing a grunt in real life. That would be scary.
I know I'm just really tall, but that's still kind of short to me.
Also, it's also short in comparison to me, but that's also much bigger than they were in my mind.
Yeah, no, that's fair. It's just it's kind of funny because now
they're also like wide. They're also really wide too, so they're gonna look huge if we were to like see them in person. They would be gigantic.
I'm just thinking about all the 5'4" people I know because I know a lot of people that are like 5'4".
Yeah, that's the like average height for a woman.
Not just that, like I have a lot of male friends that are also like 5'4", and I call them short all the time because they kind of are. If you're 5'4" and you're listening,
I would say 5'9" is average height for a man. So yeah, 5'4" is definitely short.
Like I'm sorry, you're short. That's not a problem. Like short people are cool.
Yeah, no, it's all right. You can be short. You know, do your thing.
Yeah, but just know that you're the average height of a grunt, and I think that's kind of hilarious.
Just know you're the height of a grunt. That's hilarious. Peacemaker. I don't have any notes about this, honestly. It's a good show. It's still funny. I'm probably not. I don't have much to say. You have anything to say about Peacemaker?
It's so good. Like I really can't say anything beyond that because it is just ridiculously amazing. I like Vigilante. I just every time I just love Vigilante so much. He means so well, and Peacemaker.
Yeah, you finally watch episode 4, right? Like he was really good.
Oh yeah, no, I'm caught up.
He was his best in episode 4. He was so good in that prison scene.
Oh my god, and when he went in there, Peacemaker doesn't deserve him as a friend, honestly. Like,
well, Vigilante's kind of insane.
He is insane, but like he means so well, and like he really is. He's a great friend. He just goes about it in a terrible way, and Peacemaker just doesn't appreciate it. He doesn't appreciate how like nice of a person Vigilante is. But he is insane.
Are you fully caught up?
Yeah, I'm fully caught up.
Yeah. So, spoiler alert for Peacemaker. Mern being a what do they call it? Butterfly. When did they reveal that? Like the end of episode 3. So like we knew it the entirety of episode 4. It was interesting. I didn't expect it the first time, but also that guy's British, and it always freaks me out when people are British. And like I heard him speak. You know, the thing is, when I first watched it, I thought he was British because I think I saw an interview with him before I watched the show. So in my mind, he was British, and then I realized, oh, he's not. And then I saw another interview. I was like, oh wait, he is, and it confused my brain. But at the end of the last episode, well, actually, not before the end, I was kind of upset when the police, those 2 police officers, got turned into butterflies because I like those characters as they were, and it seems like there's no like undoing it, so they're kind of just dead. And I like those characters, so that's unfortunate.
Yeah, I agree. I felt like they were going somewhere else with those characters, and the fact that they just like killed them both off essentially, I was like, what? Whoa, wait a second.
That do you watch like the end credit scenes where they do like the alternate takes?
Sometimes
I watch it every time.
The last time because I had missed like an episode. I missed like episode 5, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna like binge episode 5 and episode 6. And so I didn't because I was gonna skip to the next episode, but they're hilarious outtakes.
Yeah.
Or like hilarious like alternate versions.
Yeah, that dude who was playing the sheriff was really creepy. Like when he was killing people, he was like mocking them. And then in like the end like credit thing, he was like trying to pretend like he was sad and was like making funny faces and was like laughing at the dead person. I was like, oh my god, this dude's insane.
Yeah, he is really creepy. Honestly, I don't really like Joker, but he could play a good Joker. Honestly,
yeah.
He's got the
like that part at the end when all of them were walking down the hallway after they got turned and they were smiling and he was smiling. Oh my god, he could play the Joker. He would be a good Joker. It's man.
Also, I definitely thought he was a butterfly for a while until he got turned. I was like, he's not a butterfly? What is wrong with him?
I thought he was already a butterfly. When the butterfly was going inside of him, I was like, are the butterflies about to fight inside of him? But then I was like, oh, he's not a butterfly. He was just weird. That was just who he was. That was just him.
That threw me off so hard. I was like, how? Like, what? What was wrong? Like, what is wrong? There's got to be something like actually wrong with him. Like, yes. What is wrong with this guy?
I thought he was acting weird because he was a butterfly, but no, he was acting weird because he's just weird. But yeah, I feel like he can make a good Joker. I'm off topic a little bit. A quick Harry Potter. But do you think? I know you don't like Joker, but do you think like it would be cool if Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was the Joker for the Batman universe, Matt Reeves' Batman?
I wouldn't mind it if. Would it have to connect the Joker movie to the Batman universe, or?
I mean, if they wanted to, I don't think it would necessarily need to.
Okay, I like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, and I would say that I wouldn't mind that if it wasn't the story of Joker connected to that, because I didn't exactly like Joker all too much, and the way that they set up Batman in that world was a little weird to me, and I didn't want that. I wouldn't want that connecting to Robert Pattinson's Batman. And I know, what'd you say?
How was it weird?
I don't like Joker being directly responsible for Batman's origin. I always hated that. Like every time people try to do that, that's always like, no, like stop, no, please, no. I don't like that.
What about that? He caused that riot that caused Joe Chill to go and kill his parents. I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then also, I don't mind the Waynes being corrupt, but like the Waynes being that grimy in that universe is a little weird to me as well. Like, I mean, I really don't mind the Waynes being corrupt, but like there's a difference between like corruption and like full on just straight up criminals, which is kind of what they were in that movie, and wasn't a fan of that. I also didn't really like the movie all too much in general, but that's neither here nor there. I do like the fact that Joker is an unreliable narrator in that movie. Like that movie could have been entirely made up in his head. It could have not been made up, but it could have been way different.
They could include that as like canon for the universe, but it's like it's still like we don't know his real origin. He could have been just making it up.
I do like that fact. I do like that fact. Like I don't like the movie, but I like the fact that it could all just be completely incorrect. And it could be something completely different. It might not even be completely incorrect. It could be like shades of like incorrectness. And I do like that aspect.
Yeah,
there's just nothing I don't like about it. But yeah.
You tell a good lie by mixing in a bit of the truth.
Is that a Joker quote? I feel like it's actually a Joker quote.
Oh, that's just a saying. Like if you're gonna tell a good lie, you have to tell a bit of the truth.
That's a really good quote. I like that.
But yeah, what's probably gonna take up the remaining 30 minutes of this episode, the Book of Boba Fett. Spoiler, we're gonna spoil the hell out of it. So, season 3, episode 1 of The Mandalorian was amazing. Oh my God. I cannot wait for the rest of this season. It was so good. He has the Darksaber and he's fighting with it. He's learning how to fight with it because he hurt himself. And I'm glad I watched those Rebels episodes because I now understand why it was heavy. Like why he was struggling to hold it up, because like Kanan said, it's like you're directing a current of energy and it can have weight to it if you aren't in balance with yourself. So I'm interested to see where that goes, if someone's going to fight him and take it back, or if he's going to leave Mandalore. And you have a theory, but before we get to that theory, let's just talk about the episode in general. As much as I love Mando, it's taken away from Boba so much these last 2 episodes. Like half of the last episode was, I felt like, a Mando episode, whereas the episode before that was just straight up a Mando episode. And I feel like 70% of the Mandalorian stuff could have been removed. Like I think that opening scene we needed that to get reintroduced with the Mandalorian, just see him be a badass with the Darksaber. But then after that, I don't think we need to see him go to the armorer and pass Vizsla. I think we could have skipped that, went straight to Tatooine, saw him get his ship, and then the rest of the episode could have been him going to go meet Boba and Fennec, or Fennec coming to get him and then them going to go meet Boba, and then figuring out some other stuff, and then leading into the next episode of him going to go get Cobb, and then, Cad, motherfucking Bane, showing up, which was so cool. It was so good. I love Cad Bane. He's easily my favorite bounty hunter. Also, this person on Twitter I follow, named Blaine Gibson, he said that this show low-key should have just been called Star Wars Bounty Hunters, because that's what it feels like. It's just focusing on several of the famous bounty hunters in Star Wars rather than Boba Fett.
I wouldn't even necessarily just call it bounty hunters, because that's not all that it is either, because there's a big emphasis on Luke and Ahsoka. And
that's the thing though. I don't think they should have been in it.
They don't need to be in it. They really don't. But the fact that they are in it, they really could just call this entire show just Star Wars, or like, I don't know, like give it some like snappy tagline or something like that. But like it's not Book of Boba Fett anymore. It's just Star Wars.
This is just Star Wars. It could just be called Star Wars. I don't know. I'm trying to think of what the subtitle could be. It could just be.
Just call it Star Wars. Like just leave it at Star Wars and then renew it for multiple seasons.
It's just an anthology series of just Star Wars, just random stuff going on in the galaxy.
I mean, it could be just like the current canon Marvel Star Wars comics, where that's kind of what it is. Well, I mean, like it's more focusing on Luke Skywalker now, but like it's just kind of like tales or like entire like storylines from across like the Star Wars universe. And I feel like that could really be what this show is. At the same time, I want Boba Fett. I want him to be like the main character of his own show. He's
Yeah, like
literally my second favorite
I
Star
felt
Wars
like
character.
I talk about him a lot, Blind Wave, but there's a member of Blind Wave named Eric who is a huge Star Wars fan. He's been in what is it called? He's been in like trivia like tournaments and stuff like that. He's a huge Star Wars fan. He's watched the movies thousands of times, watched all the shows, he's read most of the books. He's just a huge Star Wars fan. And he's sometimes he could be really dismissive of people's opinions on Star Wars. He's overall like a really positive fan. He's not like a gatekeeping type of person. In fact, he's very much on the opposite spectrum of that. But sometimes there are moments where I'm like, I just heavily disagree with him. Like when it comes to how he feels about how other people feel. Like when people talk about how this show is just not focusing on Boba Fett enough. He's like, yeah, but it's still great. And I'm like, sorry about that. And it's like, yeah, sure. Just because it's good doesn't change the fact that this show isn't focused on Boba Fett. Like if there wasn't, like if I was watching Ahsoka and like half of that show turned into the fucking Mandalorian, I would be upset as hell. I would be so mad if I'm watching Ahsoka and then we got a full episode of the Mandalorian. I would be so angry. So I understand people who are huge fans of Boba Fett being like, Boba Fett is a character who I read in Legends, that's not canon. So all we know is that he was a dude who was there and died. And now we're finally getting more of him. And even then, barely, because we have a character who in a lot of ways, to a lot of people, is more like Boba Fett than Boba Fett actually is, like taking up his real estate and his own show. And I get that and I understand that. And I actually agree. Like, I love The Mandalorian. He did not need a whole episode to himself at all. This is not his show. Save that stuff for season 3. We don't need, you're getting your Mando in my Boba Fett, okay? And I don't need that much Mando in my Boba Fett, okay? I want Boba Fett and Boba Fett. That's what I'm here for. I'm here for Boba Fett. But anyway. I'm kind of sad that it took until the second to last episode, the penultimate episode, to show that the Pikes are actually a credible threat by blowing up that bar, that cantina, and also them hiring Cad Bane. Like, why did it take them this long to actually establish the Pikes as a credible threat? Because we saw that they were a threat. Like anybody who is only watching Mando and like Boba Fett and aren't into like the animated shows, if you haven't seen season 7 of Clone Wars, where they showed the Pikes being a threat in an arc that I'm not a big fan of, but they showed the Pikes being a big threat, you don't know that the Pikes are a big threat outside of that. So in this show, for the sake of the story, they should have shown it much sooner. It took them way too long to get to this point. The show is that the Pikes are actually villains worth being afraid of. And most of that is due to just the fact that they hired a villain that is actually scary in Cad Bane. But go ahead. Don't my rant.
Yeah, so I feel like the Pikes themselves rely on you watching Solo and you watching Clone Wars, not just season 7. They were a pretty big thing in season, I want to say 5 or 6. Whenever they did the whole like what's that guy's name? Psycho Diaz like arc where it would like it was revealed like how Psycho Diaz died and like Dooku was behind everything, like that arc. And that's, I feel like it relies a lot on like you watching other Star Wars stuff instead of just like Book of Boba Fett. And I'm like, I don't know. I like it, I do, but like at the same time, that's not really, I'm not gonna say consumer friendly, but like it's not viewer friendly.
Yeah, you know? Like a lot of people say that Cad Bane is fan service, but I think the way they introduce Cad Bane in this tells you all that you need to know about Cad Bane. Like, I don't think there's any more information as a person who's only watching the shows and the movies about Cad Bane that you necessarily need. You know what I mean? Like, he came in and showed you who he was. He's a scary bounty hunter. He's a good shooter. He's like one of the worst when it comes to criminals. He will do anything for money. Like he has, you know, his own code, but like barely. So like he's like, you see who he is. Like, you don't need too much. You don't necessarily need to have seen Clone Wars to know who Cad Bane is or the Bad Batch.
His own code just kind of revolves around whether or not it's safe for him to do something. Like the only thing that he wasn't gonna do was break into the Jedi Temple just because he was sure that he was gonna die. And that was literally it. And then it just took him like a little bit more money, and he was like, all right, bet.
Yeah, so like you like, and I feel like Ahsoka is more of an example of that's a character that if you haven't seen like Clone Wars or Rebels, you might have a bit harder time of being like, yeah, I get it. But she's getting her own show, so even then you'll get way more context if you've never seen the cartoons. So eventually you will get the context of who she is. It's just that at this moment you're like, who that? You know what would be cool? I don't know why I didn't think about this before. What if we get like Clone Wars flashbacks with Hayden Christensen playing Anakin and like a younger version of Ahsoka in live action? I'd never thought about that until just now. That would be amazing.
We've been talking about that like nonstop since Obi-Wan got announced, and it's kind of hilarious you hadn't like thought of that till now, because I'm like everybody else, like that's all.
I don't know why I didn't just think about that with like seeing Ahsoka like in the Clone Wars in live action, because we obviously seen Obi-Wan and Anakin in the Clone Wars live action, but we haven't seen Ahsoka back then in live action. They would probably hire a different actress to play the younger version, and I'm just interested to see how they would do that.
I was gonna say she was between like the ages like 14 and 17, and I don't see Rosario Dawson reprising her role for that.
They're gonna have to pull some like Captain America, the First Avenger level tricks.
That CGI still freaks me out. Like for the longest time as a kid, I didn't realize that was CGI. I thought like they actually just made him go malnourished. And I was like, what? And I found out it was CGI. I was like, yo. But yeah, no, I'm. What was I talking about? What were we talking about? Book of Boba Fett. I almost called it Mandalorian.
Yeah, so you want to spin your theory about the Mandalorians?
Yeah, okay. So note that Book of Boba Fett is only getting one season that we know about, and Mandalorian seems to continue to be an ongoing series. So what I'm thinking about, at least what I believe is heavily hinted at in Book of Boba Fett from what we've seen when Din talked to the armor and like the future of Mandalore and all that stuff, is that I think that Din is not going to give up the Darksaber, and we see that, or he does, he's just going to give it right up to Boba Fett, and we see that Mandalore has been destroyed, and we see that Boba is becoming more and more honorable. He's more and more about family, and he wants. I'm not going to say that he wants to like have his own family, but like that's pretty much what his criminal empire is turning out to be. And they're also noticeably
but he does want to have a family. He kind of said that in the episode where in episode 4, when he was like around a campfire with Finnick, he was like he's tired of being a bounty hunter and he wants to kind of just like settle down. He kind of
that was basically like the like conversation he was having. That's definitely the conversation he was having. But like I feel like and like his criminal empire is clearly much less criminal than any of the other empires have been. It's much less criminal than the Hutts, it's much less criminal than the Pikes, like all of it. And so I feel like either Din is going to keep the Darksaber, he's going to give it to Boba, and then Din, Boba, and then maybe Christensen or whatever his name is, maybe Fennec, actually probably Fennec, and like a couple of other like people throughout the Star Wars universe, or like people that Boba picks up, are going to wind up being the new Mandalorians, and like the Mandalorian convent is going to be Jabba's palace, and they're going to be based out of Tatooine, and that's pretty much my theory, because I don't really see the future of the Mandalorian going any other way, especially with in the past few episodes the emphasis on like Mandalorian tribes and stuff like that. I don't see it going any other way.
Yeah, I think that could be really cool, especially with Mando being kicked out of his coven. He and him not like, I don't think he's gonna go back to them because he doesn't agree with what they're doing. He no longer feels like he needs to always wear his helmet. Like I feel like he's gonna reach the point to where I think he's still gonna wear his helmet for the most part. I don't think they're gonna change that, but I think that he's eventually gonna get to a point to where he will show his face to all the people that he trusts. You know what I mean? Like maybe eventually he will like take his helmet off in front of Boba and Fennec, like stuff like that. Like we'll see him wear it for the most part, but he'll take it off around people he trusts, and he'll develop much like how in a lot of ways Luke should be like trying to do things differently from the way Jedi did in the past, because obviously they failed and they weren't necessarily right with the way they were doing things, then we'll try to make a different Mandalorian kind of like society. And it would be cool if like Tatooine became the new planet for the Mandalorians alongside the Tuskens. That would be pretty cool. But also, like, I'm just thinking of two things. Wookiee and Mandalorian armor would be really cool. And also, I feel like Phoenix armor would for sure be black and orange, and that would be really cool.
Oh yeah, no, that would definitely be black and orange armor.
And I feel like the people on the bikes would have like armor that matches the color of their bikes, and it would be just
the Power Rangers. Oh yeah,
they look like Power Rangers. You're absolutely right.
That's basically what they are. They're basically like criminal Power Rangers, like Power Rangers if they were a biker gang. So,
oh my god, you're absolutely right. They're going to become Power Rangers. This is exactly what's happening. This is the way.
But yeah, no, that's my theory. I'd like it would be weird to me if it didn't go something like that. I mean, I trust Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, but I don't know. It would just seem a little weird to me if that wasn't what happened. But then again, hey, who knows? They could wind up doing something completely different, and it could be really cool. They could wind up killing off Din and Boba Fett in the very next episode, and then the Mandalorian's about just another Mandalorian, because it's not like called Din Djarin, it's called the Mandalorian. So
it's a three-way
about the armor for the rest of the series. Like,
yeah, it's a three-way shoot off, and Cat Bane wins. It's between him, Finnick, Din, and Boba, and he still wins.
Just like he does have two guns. He knows we only used one of them in that scene.
But yeah, I do think he is like we're definitely gonna see him. I feel like go off against Din. I feel like he's gonna win, but like I think he's probably the quickest hand in the entire Star Wars galaxy. He's old now.
I see a rematch between him and Finnick.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna. Here's the thing, though. I want to see him fight Din for the first time, but I also want to see a rematch between him and Finnick and him and Boba. And I wonder if we're gonna get all of that in this next episode. If we're gonna see him go against Din for the first time, we're gonna get his rematch against Finnick and his rematch against Boba, or if they're gonna like stretch that out. If he's only gonna fight one of them, and then he's still gonna be alive, and he's gonna come back later. He's been alive for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if he died next episode. I wouldn't. But
I kind of don't want him to die, though. I like him.
I definitely don't want him to die. But I wouldn't.
I like him as an eternal threat.
I wouldn't be surprised if he died, though.
I wouldn't be surprised if he died either. But I really don't want him to. Like, I was so happy he came back in Bad Batch, and then I'm like, oh, are they gonna kill him in Bad Batch because he was originally dead? Like, please just keep him alive, man. I like him. He's so cool.
That scene was so good, and the music that played, oh my god. I'll never get over that scene. I was gonna say Dijon. Cat Bane is probably just he's become one of my favorite Star Wars characters in general. I love Cat Bane.
Same here. Oh my god. I feel like it would be weird to have him face off against Fennec and Boba and Din, and for him to win every single one consecutively. But it's like, at what point does he stop? At what point does he lose? And would we get to see all of those matchups in this next episode? Because
I feel like it would be like he's fighting all three of them at the same time, and it's like now the fight's even. The fight's even because it's 3-on-1, and he's shoots more accurate and faster than all three of them. But yeah,
I honestly don't think he could take all three.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I'm just making a joke, but I feel like you're right. It's like one episode left, unless this episode is like a movie and it's like an hour 30 minutes. Like, how are we going to see him? We want to see him have two rematches, but we also want to see him fight one person for the first time. I wonder how they're going to balance that, because honestly, the pacing hasn't been great in the show, so I don't have faith that they'll do it well.
Oh man, I'm just so excited for this next episode. I'm just so excited for the future of Star Wars, honestly.
Yeah. Speaking of future Star Wars, let's talk about Luke. So first off, he looked amazing. We also haven't talked enough about Luke and Grogu in general, so let's talk about that. He looked amazing. Like, that technology has evolved. They hired a YouTuber who does what is that? What is it called? The technique that they're using. Why can't I remember? You know what I'm talking about.
Deepfake, I think deepfake technology.
There you go, deepfake. His name is Shamook, I think. And they hired him, and he helped them kind of make it even better. And it looked amazing. It looked almost flawless. There were a few shots every now and again, but not enough to really pull you out of it. his voice sounded a little bit robotic, but again, still not enough to take me out of it. It looked really good.
That's actually because they used an AI.
But yeah, and there was a scene where he was like practicing with his lightsaber. That was just the way he was fighting. I loved it because it was very much like he was using a katana. It was really cool seeing him fight with the lightsaber like he was using a katana. And I want to see more Luke fighting with the lightsaber in general. But I don't hate where Luke ends up in The Last Jedi. I just hate how he ended up there. And I'm hoping that within this post-Return of the Jedi era that we're getting, we could see either an animated series or a live-action series where they actually hire someone like, a lot of people on Sebastian Stan to play Luke and actually show his journey to eventually getting to that point. Because me and you talk about how him failing makes sense. Okay, he's not perfect, but the extreme level of what happened, it was a lot. There needs to be a build up to that. You don't just start off with, I'm sensing the dark side. Let me just cut on my lightsaber and murder this child. Like, what? And I get it. He did it. He's like, and then he immediately cut it back. Well, he was about to cut it back off, but he saw him and swung at him and he had to block it. And then he bring down the house on top of him. I just rewatched The Last Jedi. So I get that, right? But I feel like it was so extreme so extreme and so sudden that it shocked everybody. And it didn't feel like it was probably, it needed to be built up. Doing something like that to such a beloved character is so quickly, I just felt like was not a good idea in any way, shape, or form. How do you feel about what they did with Luke in The Last Jedi?
We did talk about this. It's hard to talk about it and not rehash what we talked about because we had a long conversation about this. But I feel like, firstly, Luke wasn't the character to do it with, but at the same time, I don't mind that they did it with Luke. But they have done. Luke isn't the kind of character to just fail once and then never try again. Like, that's a big part of his character evolution in the original
That's
trilogy.
my thing. My thing is that he does one thing and then, well, I guess I failed. And it's like, okay. Like, I feel like
also the fact that he tried to kill Ben was a little, that was a bit extreme. And I don't care how fleeting the moment was. That was just not Luke Skywalker to me. I've heard every argument under the sun at this point because I'm in a lot of Star Wars communities and I've heard them all. I don't care what you have to say. That wasn't.
Like I said,
I understand.
It was too extreme. That's my problem with it. It was too extreme. Him doing something that eventually lands him in the place that he was in The Last Jedi isn't impossible to imagine how it could happen. It's just that how they showed us how it happened was so extreme that it's like, whoa, calm down. He immediately was like, let me kill this kid. And then afterwards, he was like, I'm done with everything. I feel like there needs to be a buildup. And I feel like within this, like I said, they could show us this buildup, like show the things that he did along the way that led him to that point. And then I feel like I still won't like that movie. I still think that movie's not very good. I think most of it is boring as hell.
Even on a technical level, like outside of a Star Wars fan level, even as a movie fan, it's just not a great movie in my opinion. Like,
it's not a really good movie at all. And despite what a lot of people say, I actually do like that fight with Kylo and Rey in the throne room. A lot of people don't like it because there's certain moments where you can tell that the guards are like waiting to attack. But I still like that fight. I don't care what people say. I actually like that fight. But I don't like most of that movie. I don't like Finn's story. It's, like I said, boring. Poe's story,
the waste in that entire trilogy.
I feel like that movie. I mean, I feel like that entire movie was like a waste.
that is factual. That is factual.
Because they started
I came out of the movie theater feeling empty, what did I just do with 2 hours of my life?
Yeah, but I feel like we could see more of that. I also want to see Leia be a Jedi. I want to see that.
I feel like people complain so much about Legends, but there's so much cool about Legends. Like, Leia actually trained as a Jedi, and she didn't go all the way. Like, she wasn't like a full-on Jedi, but she did have like a lot of Jedi training, and she did go on quite a few like I'm not gonna say like full on adventures, but she had quite a few moments like as a Jedi, and I'm like, I want to see that. That is cool.
I want to see that. I really do. And you're not a you don't necessarily like a lot of the Colin Trevorrow stuff that he was gonna have for the third film, but there's a decent chunk of it that I really like especially the stuff with Finn that he was gonna do was dope. He was actually gonna do stuff with Finn. He was gonna be essentially like a revolutionary. He was gonna be like a leader. He was gonna essentially get the stormtroopers, or at least a significant portion of the stormtroopers, to leave the Empire and join the Resistance. And that would have been cool to see this former stormtrooper who knows what they're going through to convince them to be like, hey, come with us because we know it sucks over there and we need to take them down, and see him be this leader. And that would have been dope. I think you talked about it before. I think R2 dying would have been really impactful, and I would have. It's weird to say I would have enjoyed it. It's weird to say that R2 dying.
I feel like that entire movie is way too dark for Star Wars, personally.
No, I don't like all of it, but I like a lot of it. Like the part where Kylo's kind of redemption would be like him going on like a cave journey, and he would like fight Darth Vader. And I was like, a lot of this stuff is really cool. And also Rey having a double-sided lightsaber, which just makes all the sense in the world, because
I feel like that was originally part of the plan. Like I feel like that was something JJ was probably gonna do, and then I don't know why he didn't do it.
Because he was too busy trying to retcon The Last Jedi instead of trying to make a good movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because he made The Force Awakens, and I love The Force Awakens. I thought it was a great movie. And
I thought it was great, and it set up so much.
I thought it was a great start, but then he got so caught up in his dislike of The Last Jedi that he wanted to try and change it all and he essentially wanted to make the second movie and the third movie at the exact same time within the time span of a movie that's even shorter than The Last Jedi. It's 2 hours and 12 minutes versus The Last Jedi being 2 hours and like 22 minutes. So like, I feel like he should have just, as bad as it was, played the hand he was dealt. And he should have just used what he had from The Last Jedi and tried to take all of that and make a good finale to the series. Because 2 out of 3 movies being amazing is still a pretty damn good trilogy.
Right.
But instead he decided, let's try and retcon everything at once. And I got to rewatch it because I rewatched The Last Jedi. I've seen The First Awakens several times. I didn't need to rewatch that. I rewatched The Last Jedi, and I'm going to rewatch Rise of Skywalker so I can get a better opinion of that, because I only saw it again once in theaters. It was actually before, recently I've gone back to see a lot of movies in theaters. But when the pandemic started, that was the last movie I saw before the pandemic started. But yeah, anything else to say about Star Wars before we move into video games? Wrap this up.
We texted about it, and I'm just gonna put this out there now. They did a similar arc with Luke Skywalker in Legends, and I feel like they did it way better. It has problems, of course, but I feel like if they were to do something, then they probably could have fixed it up in this and just kind of adapted that, and they didn't. But you know what? It's okay. That's really all I have to say about that.
All right. So Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League is delayed to 2023, which, Miyamoto, a delayed game is eventually a great game. So I'll wait. But there are also 3 new Star Wars games by Respawn happening. One of them being Jedi Fallen Order 2, which I'm excited for that. And one of them being a first-person shooter, and the other one being a game that I can't remember because I forgot to take notes. So I'm just doing this off memory.
Real-time strategy game.
There you go. It's a real-time strategy game, which, like I said before, there are a lot of genres of games I don't like, but if you make it Star Wars, I'll play it. So I might play a real-time strategy Star Wars game, which I don't necessarily dislike them. I feel about real-time strategy how I feel about turn-based. It's all right. It's okay. It's not something I'm going to go my way to play. But if it's Star Wars, maybe. But first-person shooters, I love being a first-person shooter. I've been playing a lot of Halo lately. And I'm interested to see what they're going to do. Respawn is known for first-person shooters, Titanfall, Apex Legends. So Respawn making a first-person shooter Star Wars game sounds amazing. I have no doubt it'll probably be amazing. So I'm excited to see what that is. And Jedi Fallen Order 2. Give me more Cal Kestis. Give me more Night Sister. What's his name? Mirren. I want more Mirren. I want to be able to play as Mirren, low-key. Or for her to teach Cal some like Night Sister magic or something. How you feel about those games?
So it was announced a minute ago, or not a minute ago, but around the same time that Respawn was announced that they're working on the Star Wars games, that Battlefront Battlefront 3 is not in active development. I don't understand why they named their two biggest first-person shooters, two of the biggest first-person shooters like ever, both Battle and then a word that starts with F. That you'd really think it would be a better naming convention for that, but they announced that Battlefront 3 is not in active development. And people have been like blowing up about that, like, oh my God, yada, yada, yada. But Respawn announced they're working on a first-person shooter. And I don't really see a world where Battlefront 2 did as well as it did near the end of its life cycle. And they don't make a Battlefront 3, even if EA is not the people in charge of it. And I just don't see that happening. So I don't know. I feel like that first-person shooter is probably going to be Battlefront 3, and I'm really excited.
Respawn is under EA, so.
Oh, are they under EA? Ooh.
Yeah, Respawn is the EA.
I did not notice that.
Yeah, so if Respawn makes the next.
Right, they are. Oh my God, I did think about that. Okay.
Why do you think they made? What is it?
I forget. No, I was blanking on companies altogether. This whole like Sony acquisition, Microsoft acquisition, like everything's starting to mess me up.
Speaking of which, but we're gonna go right into the Sony acquiring Bungie.
Yes,
$4 billion. I can't say I'm a big fan of it because we talked about it before. I'm not a huge fan of this. Isn't as big as the Activision one, so it's not like. And it also, because a lot of people think when something like this happens that it's reactionary, like they did this because of Activision. Deals like this take months. This was like
they came out and said it was like 5 to 6 months that this had been.
They were planning this way before Activision. The Activision's Xbox deal literally just started, and it's going to take a year before it maybe goes through, which there's a chance it doesn't. Whereas this one has been, like you said, going on for 5-6 months, and it's in its final stages. Like they're about to finalize it, or they have finalized it. So it's not reactionary. Therefore, I don't like. Again, people are going to probably hear this and be like, "Oh, so Sony does it? It's okay." No, they did. They acquired Bungie for $3.4 billion, and they claim that there'll still be a third-party studio, which I think Destiny and any future Destiny games will continue to be third-party, but I don't necessarily believe them when they say that any future franchises that they make are going to be third party. I have a feeling that eventually Bungie is going to make at least one exclusive game for Sony at some point, because I don't believe Xbox when they say that Call of Duty will still be third party. Therefore, if that becomes Xbox exclusive, PlayStation is going to need some new first-person shooters. They might bring back, Resistance. What's that game that the people made not Ghost of Tsushima, but Horizon Zero Dawn made that other shooter, Killzone. Like they might bring back Killzone, but maybe Bungie will bring them another one. But also, they acquired Bungie for their expertise in live service games. So we could be seeing a live service game coming from Sony in the near future, which is interesting. I wonder what type of game it'll be. If they're going to make a live service game. Off top, I would want it to be something like No Man's Sky. I would want some type of big exploration type live service game. That could be cool. Like, honestly, I think a live service Star Wars game, if done right, could be really amazing. It would probably.
I just want to see a live service space exploration game, because when you said that, that'd be either that or a pirate game, because I'm obsessed with pirates and I need pirates, and there's not enough pirate games. Like pirates provide really good games and they don't make enough of them. There's like 6 good pirate games total in history. But
like was it Assassin's Creed 4? What's that Xbox game?
Skull and Bones. No, it's not Skull and Bones. Sea of Thieves. I just got a notification about it. I want Sea of Thieves so bad. It's so good.
I get that Xbox one or PC.
I'm getting a PC. That's where that's ending. I'm getting a PC and that's how I'll get Sea of Thieves. But yeah, no, I don't know. Bungie are kind of the masters of live service. Like, out of everything I don't like about Destiny, the live service aspect is not it. The live service aspect is one of the coolest things about Destiny, I feel like. And Destiny is a like blueprint to how live service games should go. So I feel like if Sony wants to move into more live service titles, buying Bungie was the smartest idea. because they are the kings of live service right now.
Yeah. So apparently there are more acquisitions coming from Sony. And this is where I get a little afraid. I'm like, okay, don't make this a thing where y'all go back and forth with these acquisitions. But if they were to acquire someone, I want it to be Konami. Because I need either remakes of the Metal Gear games, maybe even a new one, but remakes preferably. Because the story, I like the way it ended. If they continue it, I will want them to continue with Raiden, but make it like not a mixture of Metal Gear Rising and Metal Gear, like the traditional Metal Gear game. Because I want a traditional stealth game starring Raiden again, because he was obviously the main character in Metal Gear Solid 2. But I would say a good comparison would be like Spider-Man Miles Morales. How there's a way for you to do stealth, but also return back to stealth, but also end up getting in that like character action, hack and slash type combat. That's the type of game I would want if they were to continue the serious timeline with Raiden. But I also want like a new Castlevania game that's in the vein of like the Souls games, Dark Souls games, because Dark Souls games kind of just feel like an actual evolution in a lot of ways of Castlevania. So, and obviously there's Silent Hill, which I'm not big into Silent Hill, but I like survival horror. So if they made a new one, I might be into it. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Anything you have to say?
Okay, there's a couple studios I wouldn't mind. No, I don't want anybody buying any more studios, but like if they had to buy studios, that just wasn't a thing. I would really want them to buy Ubisoft. Again, I don't want. No, wait a minute. Hear me out. I don't want any.
That was literally the worst one possible. One, that would be a gigantic acquisition on the scale of Activision that I would hate to happen. And there's no way that's gonna happen.
There's no way it's gonna happen, but like I didn't think Activision would happen either. So like there's that. But
right.
now
that is true.
I don't want any exclusive games, but just think about what Ubisoft could do with the live service like expertise of Bungie and with the money and resources that Sony
and also just the expertise of the Ghost of Tsushima team who essentially made Sucker Punch, who essentially made the Japanese Assassin's Creed before they could. They beat them.
I mean, like, just like think about the types of games they could make. Like that could be great. Those could be some really great games from some franchises that we really love.
Yeah. Another one you mentioned before was Square Enix.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Honestly.
Like a lot of Square Enix games are already feel like they're PlayStation exclusives because they are usually.
That's the main reason I said they should just do Square Enix, because I was like, they're already kind of a Sony company.
Yeah, they're usually timed exclusives. Like I like Final Fantasy VII is on PC, but it's not on Xbox yet. So yeah. Last but not least, this is actually something that came up recently, but Rockstar announced that they're officially working on GTA 6. And to everybody on the internet, I must say, I'm going to sound like a little pretentious, but like educate yourself on how video game development works. If you, in your honest mind, think they literally just now started working on GTA 6, you're out of your mind. They have been working on this game literally since they released GTA 5. Probably before they released GTA 5, they have been working on GTA 6 because that is how Rockstar works. The year after they released Red Dead Redemption 2, which was like 2009, they immediately started. No, what?
You said Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, when they started working on Red Dead Redemption 2 a year after Red Dead Redemption 1.
You said they started working on Red Dead 2 in 2000, or you said they released Red Dead 2 in 2009. That threw me off.
Oh no, yeah, they released Red Dead 1 around that time. And they worked on that game for like 7 to 8 years. So like these games take a long time. And Red Dead Redemption 2, amazing game, extremely detailed. So if they're gonna make the GTA equivalent of Red Dead Redemption 2, it's probably gonna take a few years longer. So I say that we get it, I would say between now and 2023, we get some type of official trailer, and maybe it releases in 2024. That's my prediction. But that's all I got. Unless you want to chime in on that.
No, my issues with Rockstar come with the fact that they continue to add to GTA Online
Yeah,
neglect
for
the
me,
online. Like,
I don't care that they do that. What makes me upset is that they do that and do nothing with Red Dead Redemption 2. They don't add anything else to the online, and they don't give us Undead Nightmare. Like, I don't care about Red Dead Redemption Online as it is now. I just want Undead Nightmare 2, man.
I don't care much about Undead Nightmare. I just like Red Dead Online. So
I just want Undead Nightmare, my man. Undead Nightmare is so cool. And maybe they are working on it, and maybe I need to take my own advice, and maybe they have been working on it, and it's just taking a long time. So who knows? But yeah, that's all I got. As usual, my @ is right below me, both Twitter and Instagram. Amir's @ is below him. Muscat @ is below that. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel if you want to see more storytelling content, and click the notification bell so that you're notified when we post. Peace.